Good morning from Edinburgh. Today is a port day, so we have a pilot next to us, or a ferry. It says Queen's Ferry, but maybe a little tugboat in case we're in some tight maneuvering. Sometimes they send out a tugboat just to give us a little push, or sometimes it's the pilot coming on the little tug. But anyway, this is the land. This is Edinburgh. Way up front, I see some big bridges, but no buildings just yet. We'll go look on the other side and see what's on the other side of the ship. And this looks like the old town side. You can see way up on top of here, Edinburgh Castle. So way up there on top of the hill is Edinburgh Castle. And that's where we're going to today. We booked an excursion not through the cruise line, but through Viator. So hopefully it's a good tour today. We'll have to take you along with us. And this is Edinburgh Castle, high up in the hill of Old Edinburgh. If you've been to Edinburgh a few times, maybe you would stay on the ship. But in my opinion, yeah, the city's too awesome to stay on the ship. Get out, go look at stuff. There's castles, old buildings, historic places all around town. And if you get tired of visiting all the old stuff, you can just sit around and drink some Irish whiskey or some Scotch. That also would be fun. And today was the first time Carnival received a failing grade, in my opinion, on the debark process. You have to get on one of these buses to take you to the end of the port. The thing is, they loaded one bus at a time and never had any people waiting to load the bus. You exited the ship and went straight onto a bus, which took forever, over 2.5 hours. Even though we missed our tour by over an hour, the tour company happily worked with us because so many people had missed their tours. They put us on another one a little later on, which gave us time to catch a little snack. So this is some pastries from right around in the center of Edinburgh. And we hardly glance at this church, built in the 1100s by King David. Yeah, Edinburgh has a whole lot of historic buildings right downtown, all crammed in what's called the Royal Mile. And I'm not sure of the name of this statue, but people have been rubbing this guy's toes for luck for generations. And as we wait for our tour, well, another wedding breaks out. Seems that we have a thing for weddings breaking out spontaneously.
I'm looking for Saturday night energy, right? You should be excited. Edinburgh Castle is exciting. It is the #1 tourist attraction in Edinburgh. Not just that. It's the #1 tourist attraction in Scotland. But not just that. In the entirety of the United Kingdom, Edinburgh Castle is ranked at number 4. Yeah, that's right, we're number 4. The only things to be Edinburgh Castle are the Tower of London, fair enough. The Houses of Parliament, okay. Number 3, Stonehenge. A bunch of rocks in a field. You can see it from the road. You don't even need to stop. Edinburgh Castle is way better than Stonehenge, alright? There's over 3,000 years of history up on that rock. It is the longest continuously inhabited site in all of Britain. And we're going to cover all 3,000 years in the next 90 minutes. Then there will be a test. And if you don't pass, there's a dungeon. No, I'm not going to try and put you to that. I'm not going to try and quiz you. I'm not even going to try and cover 3,000 years of history.
And we're off to storm the castle of Edinburgh. And in case you had never realized, bagpipes are pretty much ear-piercing, and they're everywhere around here.
It's a nightmare city to visit this time of year. You guys have picked a good one, but we're here now. We'll make the most of it. Now, one of the other big festivals we have is called the Royal Military Tattoo, and that's what this is for. We have this huge big event where we've got military bands, marching bands, pipe bands, all going up and down in formation here on the Castle Esplanade, and about 8,000 people a night will watch that. So we build a big stadium here for that every year. So I built it in May. It's up by the end of June. Then in the first half of July, we have a big stage set up at this side of the Esplanade, and we have concerts at Edinburgh Castle. Last year I saw The Who here at Edinburgh Castle.
Oh.
There was nothing that exciting this year, so I didn't come to anything this year. But maybe next year I'll come to something else. It's a good spot for a concert, you know. Then we get rid of the stage. We have a tattoo in August, and all through September we take it down. This is a temporary structure. We do this every year. You might be wondering why we don't just leave it up all the year.
And with a brief overview of the castle, we're finally on our way in. This is the outer moat to the castle. You can see the old rocks down below and a new structure placed on top of it. But this was originally where a drawbridge was to enter the castle. In our group, we have about 30 people that are on the tour with this one tour guide. They split the overall group up into 3 separate tour guides, so there were close to 100 people doing a tour at this time. So as we enter in through the castle front gate, through the drawbridge, we make a hard right. Here you can see our big group slowly proceeding down the narrow hallways. In the old days, people would be all around us shooting arrows at us, so this would be a formidable defense to get into the castle. And straight ahead, an iron gate that would drop down.
Right guys, here we are. We got in. We got in the most besieged castle in all of Europe. We just walked in. Maybe if these stacking armies had the foresight to buy tickets, they wouldn't have died as much. You know? I think once we get inside here, you do start getting a good idea about why Edinburgh Castle is so strategically important. That's over 30 miles in all directions. If someone's coming to get you, you have so much time to get yourself in that 3,000. Also, 3 cliffs around it, a single point of access. It's pretty easy to defend. This is the most besieged castle in all Europe. It has never been taken by full frontal assault. You can trick your way in, you can siege your way in, someone can treacherously open the gates and let you in, but just hammering at the doors doesn't work. So we were drinking that in Milan in the nice little cafes, so we all got tennis tattoos.
Nice.
Anyway guys, here we are. This is the hospital square. It's home to, surprise, surprise, the military hospital here. This was built in 1897 for soldiers who were sick or injured. It's a hospital, you know why people end up in them, yeah? It's connected by this corridor now to this building. This would have held munitions, supplies, confiscated Jacobite weaponry. The entire complex is now home to the National War Museum of Scotland. The National War Museum of Scotland is the best museum in the castle, right? There's a lot of museums in here. At its absolute core, my job is to come in here and say, this is this museum, this is this museum, this is this museum, so you know what to go and visit afterwards. Tell you a little bit of history about it as well. But really, that's essentially what my job is. I'll tell you this, my opinion now. If you have a time crunch and you can only visit one museum in the castle when we're done, this is the one. Right? This is one of the most comprehensive military history museums I've ever been in. Definitely recommend you all check it out. Guy on a horse. Now, I get asked a question about this guy on a horse on a near daily basis by people that come from invariably the same country. I'm not going to say which country they come from, right? I'm not going to point fingers. I'm not going to name names. I'm just going to tell you the question and tell you the answer. They come down here, they look at the statue and they say, howdy, Angus. I'm not saying which country they come from. Say, is that a statue of Joseph Stalin?
This is actually Earl Haig, a British general during the First World War. And this is a view from the hospital wall of Earl Castle. This is one of the tallest points at the castle, and here you can see the commanding view all over the city. This is what made this castle defendable. You could see people coming.
Like I'm sure some of you are aware, there was a problem with a cruise ship not being able to come in on time, so a lot of people from our 12 o'clock tour weren't able to make it then, so came at 2 o'clock. And that just meant we were a little bit busier than usual. We didn't know how many people were actually coming, so we couldn't split the group until 2 o'clock, so, you know, thanks for your patience, we appreciate it, you know. But even though we're a little bit behind schedule, take a moment. Look at this view. Look how good this is. Think about where we are just now, right? You're standing on top of an extinct volcano that exploded 350 million years ago. right? This is so long ago. Scotland wasn't even here, right? And I don't just mean as a country. I mean the land was not physically here in this part of the world. Where we are now was in where modern day Argentina is when this volcano was going off. And this is a volcanic vent. The actual volcano is Arthur's Seat. And you're looking across this view. This is glacial. This is what we're looking at here. This is all glacial. And this is for about 10,000 years. This land hasn't really changed too much. I know we've got some people from New York on it too. Yeah, you guys are in Manhattan, yeah? I find it really hard when you see like artist impressions of what Manhattan looked like before humans were there to picture what it would have been like, or the first settlements. So, guys, I'm going to take a few half steps in here, but I told you what Thomas Randolph, the Earl of Murray, taking Edinburgh Castle, burning everything down, apart from the church. We all see the church now, yeah? We're all looking at this, yeah? It's not this. That. This sad-looking garden shed-looking building over here. This is the oldest building in the entire city. You can tell it's 12th century. I mean, look at the windows. We weren't very good at windows back then. They're very small, you know. This was built by a king called David I in honor of his mother, Margaret, Queen Margaret of Scotland. She's cool. She was an English princess who was born in Hungary. Her family had been kicked out during the Norman conquest of 1066. She was a refugee. So she did what I think any of us would do if we found ourselves in the unfortunate position of being a refugee. She moved to another country, married the king, became a queen. Good plan, right? We'd all try it, yeah? She moved to Scotland. She married a king you've heard of. So you're all thinking, Angus, I've not heard of any Scottish kings from the 1000s. I don't think you've heard of one. I think you've heard of three. I think you've heard of one that she married, Malcolm III. I think you've heard of his dad, Duncan, and the one that came in between them. Okay, we're going to try this again. So we got Malcolm III, we have Duncan, and we have... Angus. We actually never had a King Angus before. You give me 5 minutes alone with Charles, we'll see what happens, alright? That's a joke, I'm not going to kill the king. I'm not going to commit treason and kill... I'm not going to do it. It's Macbeth. Yeah, if you guys remember Shakespeare, you remember he wrote this play called Macbeth. Now, I will warn you about this. The play Macbeth makes Braveheart look like a well-researched, in-depth documentary. It's historically absolutely awful, but they were real kings, and it is a fun play. You know, there's a lot of killing in it. Alright guys, come on in, here we are. We've done it. This is us in the Crown Square now. We've got 4 buildings around us. I'm going to tell you what these buildings are. I'm going to tell you what they are in order of ascending importance. Starting with someone that you can skip and working our way towards someone you have to go to see. You can skip this. Now, this building is fine. It's a Queen Anne building. It's over 300 years old. It's a cafe. So I'll reword that. It's just a cafe, right? There are actual cool things to see in this castle. You can skip the cafe. If you want to go and sit down and have a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, a slice of cake or something like that, the cafe down beside the 1 o'clock gun I think is better. Okay? Not because it's classier. In fact, if anything, it's a little bit dirtier down there. But it's quicker, it's cheaper, and the views out the windows are better. This is quite a classy cafe, and if you want to go for like high tea or something like that, I think there's other places in the city you can do it. You can skip this building and not even feel bad about it, alright? The second least important... No. That's negative. Let's be positive today. The third most important building of these 4 is actually the oldest. It's this one over here. This is the Great Hall. And the Great Hall of Edinburgh Castle was built over a 10-year period. A king called James. But that now brings James IV was really saucepan. You want to have a big fancy dining hall. If you had some stuff coming down with him, he was the white and cultured king, and Scotland was the white and cultured nation. However, in 1513, shortly before this was finished, he got a letter. That letter came from France. It said, "Bonjour, James. It's us, les Français. Guess what? We're having a fight with les Anglais." Perfect French, by the way. Yeah. So if you catch your mind back to 1295.
Another quick look from atop the walls at Edinburgh.
Lady who has made it for over 30 years. The quantities we make are really small, so we don't export it and we don't sell it at duty free. After opening a bottle of Stag Sprit, you can keep it as long as you like. It never goes off, and it makes a fantastic cocktail with Prosecco and a little bit of raspberries.
And after a little liquor tasting, we head back to the big guns. This one could fire a 300-pound stone ball 2 miles. Huge gun. And the old church? You didn't think we were going to pass that up. This is St. Margaret's Chapel from the 1130s. Definitely an old building. by U.S. standards, only about 600 years older than the U.S., and it was built to last. This church has withstood sieges, uprisings, fires, everything you can think of. It stood the test of times, is sitting on the top of the hill. And from the outside, this church looks a little bigger than you would think. But the rock that's around it is about 2 to 3 feet thick. So that's what's protected it over all the years from being destroyed. Of course, I think the man upstairs had a little hand to play in this church never being destroyed also.
Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us as we forgive.
And with our time at the castle coming to the end, we'll pass by the guns and also pass by the sliding gates that have kept people out for centuries. And of course, past the doors that has also kept people out for centuries. And then we'll come to the moat. And the moat has also kept people out. But after that, we're back out on the streets, right in the middle of Edinburgh. So here, we'll go on back out and explore a little bit of the downtown area of Edinburgh. And there seems to be people playing bagpipes literally around every corner. We've been going all day today, so it's time for a little snack. So we stop off from some apple cider and a beer. And of course, while we're drinking and eating, there's some seriously good condiments on the table and some good entertainment right outside the restaurant. So we'll watch the street performers for a little while before heading back to the ship.
Have figured it out, but it's the same trick. Let's try trick number 3 then. This is my favorite. 2 in the air at once. Twice as dangerous, twice the applause.
I was hoping getting back on the ship would be easier than getting off, but I was wrong. Yeah, it took us about 45 minutes to get back on the ship, but it was better than the 2.5 hours to get off the ship. As far as dinner music, well, we need more bagpipes. So here's more bagpipe. For dinner tonight, well, we skipped it in the main dining room. Instead, we had dinner at the buffet. That was pretty much just as good as the dining room. They have similar food. The dining room is a little bit better service and the food's a little bit warmer, but it's about the same stuff at the buffet. If you're curious of what they had tonight, though, well, I've attached the menu. I always try to catch the menu every night of the cruise. Of course, sometimes it varies, as you saw a couple days ago. The first night, the menu was different than when I recorded on the first night, but usually it's pretty good. Our trip today in Edinburgh was awesome, and as we start to sail away, the sunset, well, that was awesome also. And hopefully you've enjoyed our day in Edinburgh much as we did, because there's a whole lot more of this trip to come. Subscribe and like, hit that bell button so you can be informed whenever that we have another video come out. And as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon.